Hey, I wanted to start off by saying thank you for all of the prayers and well wishes that were sent in for my wife. I can't begin to tell you how much it means to me. There were some really wonderful um, and beautiful, kind words and prayers that people sent in. I can't say thank you enough, and it means a great deal to me. And my wife still has pneumonia. They're treating it at home, so she's not in the hospital, which is a good thing. But she's still not out of the woods yet. So we greatly appreciate all those prayers and kind thoughts and words that people sent in. Just really means a lot, and I just wanted to say thank you. But all that time sitting in the hospital with her and even at home while she's recovering has given me time to do some reading and some reflection. And I got to thinking about so one of the ways I think one of the best ways to learn to recognize and to create good images is to study the work of other great photographers. And so I love looking at the work of photographers of the past and even the present. Um, and one of the things that I think I really kind of picked up on, especially from photographers in the early 20th century, is that so many of these amazing iconic images were shot with very simple basic cameras and often with just a normal lens. They didn't have anything real fancy. They didn't have a whole bunch of different lenses. There were no zoom lenses back then. Basic simple cameras, generally speaking, with what we would call a normal fixed lens. A lot of the cameras didn't even have interchangeable lenses, though some did. Generally speaking, even though it had interchangeable lenses, a lot of these iconic images were shot with what we'd call a normal lens. I mean, if you look at the work of like Henry Cartier-Bresson, who shot Leicas, generally speaking, with a 50 millimeter lens, amazing pictures he took. I love some of his images. Lee Miller, combat photographer from World War II, used a Rolleiflex. Again, amazing, iconic images. Vivian Maier, I think her story, while my wife was in the hospital, I watched it on YouTube. I watched the documentary on Vivian Maier. I had never really studied her images that much, but they're just amazing, some of the pictures she took. But again, largely taken with Rolleiflexes. This is actually a Rolleicord, but taken with cameras of this type. They had a fixed lens. Just some amazing images. Robert Capa, combat photographer during World War II on D-Day in Normandy. He carried a Contax 2 with a 50 millimeter sonar, and unfortunately only 12 images survived because of a big lab mistake. But those images, and later on he also used a Rolleiflex, as I understand it. His work is just amazing. One of my favorite photographers is Edward Steichen, who at the age of 60, it's either 60 or 62, World War II has started up, and he basically convinces people in the Navy to allow him to head the Naval Photographic Unit. And he, brings in a bunch of photographers, brings in Marty Forscher, who was later on headed up I think it's one of the big camera repair shops in New York City. And he got all these people together, and they created this photographic unit, and just some amazing pictures came out of that from World War II. And Edward's favorite camera was a Kodak Medalist, which is a big 6x9 rangefinder that Kodak made that used 620 film. But again, it had a fixed 105 millimeter lens. You couldn't change the lens on it. But some amazing images. Another one that I think is just a really cool story is Tony Vaccaro. And if you haven't heard about Tony enlisted in World War II, and he wanted to be a combat photographer. They were like, no, we don't need any more combat photographers. Here's your rifle, see ya. And so he went off to war, but he decided he was going to take pictures in Europe, as a soldier. So he took with him across Europe. He arrived in Normandy, not during D-Day, but a few days after, with his Argus C3, and he made his way across Europe all the way to Germany, processing film in helmets, using helmets to contain the developer and the fixer, and processed his film in it. He would, as they went through towns across Europe, he would find a camera store or find a pharmacy. I think what we'd call a pharmacy. They surely called it something, a chemist or something like that. But he would find these places where he could buy film and chemicals to process his, chemicals to process the film. And he used this Argus C3 to take thousands of pictures across, Europe, generally speaking, right after combat, right after battles and things that they were doing, or when there were times when they weren't fighting, he would take pictures. Just some amazing images. Later on, Tony became a very successful fashion photographer in New York, and had a great photographic career, but he started off with his Argus C3, as a soldier working his way across Europe. Some amazing images that Tony did. And if you haven't ever studied Tony's work, I'll tell you what, the story of Tony and this Argus C3 is going to make you want to, next time you see one at a thrift store, garage sale, or flea market or something, you're going to want to buy it and get it working and go out and take some pictures with it. The old C3 brick. Tony really is, there's not too many people that use the Argus C3 to take pictures that became famous. Tony's really probably one of the few. But some amazing pictures he took with this very simple, basic camera. Another photographer that's a real favorite of mine is Dorothea Lange. Dorothea Lange, at a pretty young age, started a studio, doing pretty well. Then the Depression happened, and she started taking what we would call street, photography pictures. And her work was noticed by the Farm Services Administration, the FSA, and they hired her to go out into the areas where, like in the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma and on to California, where all the migrant workers were. A lot of the Oklahomans during the Dust Bowl moved to California, where there was hopefully work and better conditions. And that's where the movie The Grapes of Wrath comes from. But that whole time she spent taking those pictures, she created some just amazing images, and used a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch Graflex, the folding bellows, press camera, and also used a Rolleiflex to take those images. Again, cameras that, largely you're just using the normal lens. I mean, the Graflex, you could put different lenses on it, but largely people used them with just the lens that they came with. And that was typical for cameras of that era. Even cameras that had interchangeable lenses, not that many people necessarily bought those extra lenses and used them. They generally just used the normal lens that the camera came with. It created some amazing, amazing works. So, when I look at my history, I started off, my first serious camera was a Contax 2A. I had a 50mm sonar on it. It's the only lens I had that I used. I did have a 135, but I never used it because it was in bad shape and it didn't work well. And then later on, I did a video about the Minolta SR1 that I had, and again, just used the 50mm lens all through high school, taking all my high school yearbook pictures. Later on, there's been several periods of time when I had just really one camera that I was using. And after I closed my camera repair business and I sold off a lot of my equipment, I had a Leica 3A with a 50mm Elmar. It was actually my first Leica that I ever owned. And after I sold all the M Leicas off, it was the last Leica I owned. And actually not the last. I still have a couple of Leica 3Fs. But it had just the 50mm Elmar. And I took some of my favorite images with that Leica 3A of my kids and the family. And that camera really has a big place in my heart because some of my favorite images came from that. And also, kind of during that period, I hung on to a Rolleiflex for a while. And I've had several Rolleicords and Rolleiflexes over the years. But I had a Rolleiflex with the 75mm f3.5 Xanatar. Great camera. I've got some really beautiful images I shot with that. I really love that camera. And again, you just got the one lens, so you make do. But when I look back at all my favorite images, especially from that film time, they're generally shot with a camera with a normal lens. Later on now I'm shooting digital, but still, I've got an EP1 Olympus that has a 17 millimeter, and I've got this EP5 with the 20 millimeter lens. They're prime lenses. And some of my favorite images from digital cameras come from these simple cameras with a prime lens on them. Not a zoom, not anything fancy. So, I got thinking about all this. What does this really mean? And I'm not saying that people shouldn't have other lenses, and certainly there's types of photography that require other lenses. If you're into sports or wildlife, you're going to need some long lenses. If you're doing landscape, you probably need some wide lenses. And architecture, you need probably wide lenses. If you're doing macro, you got to have macro lenses. I'm not saying you shouldn't have other lenses. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you're either getting started in photography or maybe you've been doing it a while, you shouldn't get to a place where you believe that you've got to have some other piece of equipment to be able to create more or better images, to create more creative images. I think it's important to understand that you can take the most simple, basic cameras and you can be very creative and create some just amazing images with it. Some of my favorite images actually created with a pinhole camera. So I think it's important to understand that it's not necessary to have a whole bunch of gear and a bunch of fancy lenses and a bunch of stuff in order to be creative or to do really amazing creative work. There's an old saying, kind of an old Wild West saying from America that says, "Beware the man with one gun because he probably knows how to use it." Well, so when we apply that to photography, you could say, not to beware of, but, the person with one camera that really knows how to use it well is probably going to be more effective than somebody with a bunch of gear that they don't really have that much familiarity with all the pieces of it. So I think it's maybe a good exercise even to, maybe on a regular basis, to take out a camera with one prime lens on it and really focus on using that piece of equipment and using that one focal length, and not, thinking about other focal lengths or other equipment to add to your creativity, but to instead focus on using just that one lens, that one camera. So, and I've kind of recently fallen back in love with the twin lens cameras. I've always had some around. But I've picked up a couple of Rolleicords. I really just don't want to spend the money a good Rolleiflex costs these days, but the Rolleicords, I've been able to buy a couple that needed a little bit of work, and I've been able to buy them really inexpensively, and so I'm really enjoying using them, and the image quality from them is just amazing, and so I'm having a lot of fun with that. But it is kind of forcing me to work with the one focal length that the camera has, and I can't interchange lenses. And, I have a bunch of Canon rangefinder cameras, and I've got, 28 to 135 lenses, and I can change all that stuff. But, largely I just use them with the normal lens. And I think it's just important not to get in the mindset that you've got to have more stuff to take pictures, to get great images. Anyway, that was kind of my sitting in the hospital thinking kind of thing. I hope some of that is helpful. If you find yourself either you're getting started in photography, or maybe through circumstances you've had to kind of pare things down to just one camera or something, don't let that make you believe that you can't do some amazing work with it. In fact, maybe you become a better photographer by doing that. So anyway, I hope some of that was helpful. If you have any thoughts or comments, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I always love hearing from you. And as always, thanks for watching. And thanks again for all the kind words and prayers. You guys are great. Thanks.